Marco Rubio also met with Penny Wong this morning, and the Foreign Minister admitted that our critical mineral supply chains are a strategic vulnerability. Joining me now is leading geologist and author Professor Ian Plimer. Ian, why are we failing to develop critical mineral supply chains?
Well, Rubio's comments were interesting because when you look at the geology of the NATO countries, they actually don't have critical minerals. They do not have the very ancient rocks that we have in Australia, and it is in these ancient rocks where we get an abundance of critical minerals. So Australia becomes very, very important in this, and we, in this country, lack some cobalt and some nickel and tungsten, but in essence, we are very, very well blessed with minerals, and we can easily supply the US and the world with the minerals. Now, that's the good news. The bad news is that we actually don't have a bureaucratic structure to allow this country to have rapid exploration, building of mines quickly, building of processes plants quickly, and the downstream processing. We just cannot do it in under, say, 15 or 25 years. So we have dropped the ball badly. We could be a leader in global critical minerals, but we just can't do it because we've got local governments where approvals have to be gained, state governments and federal governments, and then you have ministers like we had with the Blaney gold mine, ministers overturning the due process of decisions, and then you have Aboriginal lawfare. So it is very, very hard and extremely high risk to develop critical minerals in Australia. So we could actually fulfil our duties to our friends and provide them with critical minerals and fill the gap. But we can't because we're a bureaucratic nightmare.
It's not just fulfilling our duties, it's an enormous opportunity because, like you said, the other countries aren't blessed with the natural resources we are. Surely if the Albanese government, Penny Wong, admitted that this was a shortfall in their planning, why can't they fast-track these projects? Why can't they say, we're going to cut the red tape, we're going to cut the green tape and the black tape and get this fast-tracked?
Governments are doing everything possible to gain more tax. And this is a way of quickly getting more tax by actually fast-tracking minerals, by having minerals actually found quickly, developed quickly, processed and exported. And that is the duty that governments have. They are letting us down very, very badly. They are also destroying an income stream. They refuse to cut their own costs. They're looking at every way of gouging taxes from the individual, and there are much, much easier ways of doing it. Now, in this country, you need thousands of approvals to start a big mine. In this country, you spend years and tens of millions of dollars battling in the courts to actually make sure that your due procedure is adhered to by the governments. So if government was serious, they would actually overrule some of the decisions that have been made. But the minerals are owned by the Crown, and in this case it's owned by the states, except for offshore, where the federal government owns our petroleum resources. So we have a state-federal matter to deal with here, and some states approach minerals in a very different way to other states. For example, in Victoria, you would want your head read to try to develop a mineral deposit in Victoria. You know it's not going to get up. No one's going to spend money in Victoria. In Queensland or in Western Australia, it's a different case. In the Northern Territory, it's probably even attractive by global standards. So you've got the state-federal issues as well. And this has to be sorted out. If we ever had a war and needed to provide the essential minerals that we need to run a war, we couldn't do it under the current restrictions we have with the bureaucracy and the legislation of state and federal governments.
Well, you mentioned Victoria, and the madness here continues. We've suffered a massive setback, the state government has anyhow, in its push for green energy. The $4 billion project to connect electricity between Victoria and New South Wales has been hit with a new 2-year delay. Ian, the Australian reports that this new timeline is going to raise fresh doubts over the Albanese government's ability to double the share of renewable energy in the power grid by 2030. We're supposed to be at 82% by 2030. That's double the current levels. Is that even feasible? Never mind whether it's desirable, is it even feasible?
82% by 2030. Look, I believe in fairies in the bottom of the garden. I've seen them. I believe them. They're there. And that's what they're trying to sell us. Victoria imports energy from Queensland. It comes through the interconnectors into New South Wales and comes through the interconnectors into Victoria. If Victoria thinks it can export low-density energy northwards, they've got to be kidding themselves. To make matters worse, Victoria has thousands of years of brown coal, which traditionally has provided very cheap and very reliable electricity. That's why Victoria was the manufacturing heart of Australia. Now, for ideological reasons, they have blown that opportunity. And instead, they're wanting to destroy perfectly good farmland, especially in Western Victoria, with power lines, with solar complexes and with wind industrial complexes, to try to export energy for a very short period of time each day to the states north of them, who produce that sort of energy anyway at that time of day. So it's absolute total madness. Victoria is true to form, showing that they cannot economically manage a fish and chip shop, let alone run a state.
Now, before you go, I just want to get your take on what President Donald Trump had to say. He has threatened Elon Musk with Doge. He's going to stick his own body on him. Have a listen to this.
Doge is the monster that might have to go back and eat Elon. Wouldn't that be terrible? He gets a lot of subsidies, Peter. But Elon's very upset that the EV mandate is going to be terminated. And you know what? When you look at it, not everybody wants an electric car. I don't want an electric car. I want to have maybe gasoline, maybe electric, maybe a hybrid, maybe someday a hydrogen. If you have a hydrogen car, it has one problem. It blows up, you know? So I'm going to give that one to Peter.
Oh, he's kidding around. I mean, he really is the funniest president we'll ever have. But he is serious. He is hilarious. But he is serious about those EV mandates. It should be about choice. It should be about what you want to spend your money on. They've got it right in the US. Where are we in?
Well, we've got it absolutely and totally wrong. I do a lot of long-distance driving. There is no way I'd even think of doing it in an EV because I'm going to be stuck out back for days waiting for help. So he's quite right. In the US, they have no need for EVs. We have no need for EVs in this country unless you drive a couple of kilometres a week going out and doing the shopping or getting some dog food or whatever. But they are expensive. They depreciate very quickly. They explode, they catch the light. You can't travel long distances. It's not for this country. It might be if you live in the centre of Brussels or somewhere like that. So he's absolutely right. He's also using this as an opportunity, I think, in a fairly childish way to have a crack at Elon Musk. They've had a bit of a falling out, but what do you expect with two great men and two great egos?
Two big egos, and the bromance is over, but I think they will reconcile at some point. Professor Ian Plimer, thanks for your time tonight.
Good night and thank you.